Today is September the 2nd, 5:28 a.m. Friday is an important date for those of us who sell option contracts. Option contracts expire on Fridays, regardless of the expiration date you chose. The only exception to that is if Friday is a holiday, then it falls on Thursday. So today I want to talk about the cycle, I guess you'd call it. In other words, I write and sell option contracts on Monday, and that Friday they expire. So when they expire, I'm free to use the underlying asset, whether it be cash or stock, to write new contracts on and sell them on Monday. So, it's rinse and repeat. It's not really glamorous, and it's very, very important to understand the concept of free cash flow. As it relates to stock options, free cash flow equals the premiums received minus the cost basis minus or plus or minus the replacement price of the stock. So in technical terms, when I sell an option, remember, it doesn't exist until I sell it. Once I sell it, it goes out into the options marketplace and people trade it. I don't trade options. I create them, sell them. So at any rate, when I sell these options, it's considered selling them short. In other words, I'm selling something I don't have, in a way. But with options, of course, I'm on the hook for making that option good should it be exercised. So if I sell a call and it's exercised, I got to have the stock to make good on the contract. If it's a put, I've got to have the cash on hand to buy the stock at the strike price. So these are covered options. That's an important distinction. Now, it's difficult in this one video to not get into everything you need to know about options. There's plenty of resources for that, a lot of videos. However, most of them come at you from a perspective of being an options trader. That is, you buy option contracts and then you sell them or exercise them. So the wonderful fact is that about 70% of the options that I sell are not exercised. But remember, I get the premium income immediately when the option is sold, regardless of whether or not it's ever exercised. So that premium money is mine. It's mine right up front. If it's enough to support the writing of another contract, I can do that, or I can withdraw the money, or whatever I want to do with it. It's mine. So that's an important point. Some years ago, I created a PowerPoint presentation on a concept that helped me to tell others what selling options, covered options, is all about. And I call this a transaction set. And below I've got a link to that PDF document. And you need to read, if you're interested in doing this, you need to read this document and you need to understand it. because it's the whole, I call it my revenue engine. It's what produces the money. So you do need to understand that. The other thing about options that you always need to be mindful of is don't get greedy. Since I can select the strike price, the further it gets away from the current market price, the higher the premium is going to be. And boy, those premiums look really, really nice. But remember, I've got to make good on that contract if it's exercised. And so the further I get from the current market price, more I'm leveraged. Now, if I've guessed the market right, it's a big payday. But if I don't, then I could end up with a negative free cash flow, which is not what I'm in this for. So I want the revenue. I don't want any kind of thing taking my revenue back. So really thoroughly understand that document. Down in the comment sections, if you have questions, put it there, and I'll try to address your questions in subsequent videos. The best book I ever read on the subject, and keep in mind it was the first edition, was a book by Michael Sincere, which taught me the whole concept of stock options and why people buy them and trade them. After all, these are my customers, the ones that buy them. So I need to understand their motivation for doing that. But there were 16 pages in that book that covered selling covered stock options. And wow, that was a gold mine. I'll put a link to to Amazon to his book, but it'll be several editions later, and I haven't read it, so I don't know if he's still got those 16 pages in there or just what. But it's a good, will be a good book for you to understand stock options in general. So going over to Amazon to capture the link to that book, I noticed it's the second edition, and given the first edition was around 2005, I'm hoping the book will be pretty much the same in terms of its usefulness, and it'll have those magic 16 pages. I guess one other point I need to make, I take it for granted, but if you're new to this, you may not. Stock options are a derivative. A derivative means that the value is based on the underlying item, which in this case is the stock. So its value is derived from that. So that is important to understand. Now, at present, this week, as of this Friday morning, I have 15 contracts sold and outstanding. This week was a bit unusual in that I had 7 contracts that I sold on Monday, exercised on Monday. I've never had a turnaround that quick. In that case, the market moved so much that the holder of the options exercised them. And so I had the stock put on me, that is, I had to buy the stock at the strike price. And this strike price was considerably higher than the current market price. So he did real well. And that's what people are in it for. So I try to think of it like I'm running a casino, and there's got to be winners or nobody would ever come back to the casino. But despite the fact that I have a relatively high cost basis on that stock, I was able to immediately sell call contracts based on those shares. So that's the reason I did that with eight puts and 7 calls today. And which brings up another really interesting point about derivatives, stock options, is that you can bet both sides of the proposition. You can't do that with stocks, that's illegal. But with options, it's done frequently. And when it's done, it's called a straddle. That is, you're betting each side of the fence. And what that does is that if the market goes against you, it minimizes the downside. If it moves in your favor, it maximizes the revenue or your profits. So, and there I'm using the term profits. And another thing about stock options is they don't really follow, at least if you're the seller of the options, don't follow the generally accepted accounting practices. Because I'm only interested in free cash flow, that is, the cash it throws off. That is not needed to replace the merchandise I'm selling. So it's a lot like being in the retail business. I grew up in a family retail business, and so I understand that principle very, very well. But the advantage here is that over selling a can of beans is that I get a premium both acquiring that can of beans and selling the can of beans. So that, in most cases, will about double my profit margin, or my gross margin. So at any rate, gotta avoid trying to ramble on here. I'd like to stay focused enough that you can follow along with me. Again, let me repeat that reading the transaction set PowerPoint is just absolutely necessary. It's the foundation upon which everything else I do is built. And remember, it's down in the link below. And also, if you're interested in stock options and how you can make money doing that, please subscribe and like, and do the notices so that you'll be notified every time I add a new one, which will be almost every day. So, all right. Thanks for watching.